Yo, let's get this going. Ooh, there he is. Oh, hi. Hope everybody's doing well. I didn't turn on the CC. Whoops. Thank you, reminder, for telling me that. Boom. I don't think it's accurate, but still, it's something. It's an option. I just have to hope I speak clear enough for it to pick it up. And hey, Catherine VT, what's up? How you doing? Thanks for the follow. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing good. Since I'm playing modded Survivor, yeah. I mean, I got 16 of these to go through, so doesn't really matter, yeah. I'm Blue Seeker. I like Seeker. I'm doing good, thanks for asking. Of course, of course. I just got back from work myself, so I'm a little tired, but that's okay. Was not a bad day. Was not a bad day. I am slightly wondering why my chat box isn't updating with this chat, though. It was doing so during yesterday's stream. Do you stream daily? Most days. I stream 5. I take Wednesdays and Saturdays off. Saturdays because it's my latest work day. I get home the latest, so I just don't. I just don't stream for that reason. And Wednesdays because, well, at one point I was playing Baldur's Gate with some work. We haven't done that in a while, but one of them at least is trying to get that going again. So we're gonna continue to keep Wednesdays off. Though if another day ends up being used instead of Wednesday, then I'll probably just change my day off to that day. Because Baldur's Gate's pretty cool. And I like playing with friends. So what type of games do you usually play? Or do you play usually? I like to play it. Excuse me. I like to play a lot of games. Risk of Rain 2 here is one of my favorite. So this is like a go-to for me. But you know, shooters in general, RPGs. What other genres are there? I like rhythm games, though I'm always curious about how, like, not curious, I'm always cautious of how the copyright works when it comes to streaming rhythm games because of the music, so I don't really stream them. But I do just casually play them. What else is there? What else is there? Platformers are cool. I just played at Hat in Time yesterday. I do play Minecraft. I haven't streamed it yet. I'm actually going to be upgrading my PC on Friday. This current PC is running a 4060, was it 4060 Ti, I think? An RTX 4060 Ti, but it's only got a i5 12900K for the CPU. And I'm slapping an i9 CPU on this thing on Friday. Once I do that, I'm gonna try and play. I'm gonna see how streaming Minecraft goes. Or other survival games, like 7 Days. I like 7 Days to Die. I actually have a model of the bunny that you see on screen. Why is the chat not updating? That's so annoying. This thing just broke. I haven't touched this thing since, is it? Hold on, let me refresh. Maybe it just needs a good refresh. Maybe. Oh, it showed the follow thing though, so I don't know. We'll have to see what's up with that. It was working yesterday. But so do you have all graphics stuffs for your streams? What do you mean graphic stuff? Like overlays? I have some overlays. Well, so what was I gonna say? The bunny that you see on screen, it's actually just a couple PNGs of a model. The chat's still not updating. on the overlay. Weird. But I actually have a model, like a full model of this thing. I just took a couple PNGs because with my CPU being so weak, I can't run games I want to play like this and the model at the same time. So I'm just using Discord Reactive. But I actually have a model in the works. And once that model is done, then I plan on getting like emotes to match it, you know, overlays, like overlays to match it basically. Emotes, emotes, alerts, all that kind of thing. But since I don't, since I want them to be one-to-one with the model, I'm waiting to get that stuff until the model. Okay, now I'm really annoyed. Why the hell is the chat thing not updating? I mean, I can check out what you do for when I'm done, or for when the model's done. I'm okay. I mean, like, I'll look at it when I'm done with the stream, but you know, until the model's done, I'm not trying to actually get any of that work done. Kind of want it to match, you know. But I will be in the market once it's done, so any ahead of time looking does not hurt. And you're still not updating. What the hell? Okay, you were literally working yesterday thing? What the hell happened? Okay. Okay, what is going on with this thing? What is going on with this thing? Probably shouldn't worry about it too much, but it's bugging the hell out of me. Okay, open you. But the follow thing showed, so why isn't the actual chatting showing? You, stream elements. Just a moment. Yeah, we'll do, which one is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We'll put on this one for now. We'll put on this one for now. There we go. Give it a moment while I look at something. Oh, what's going on? What's going on? Stream elements, what are you doing to me? I do have a Discord. It is, I'm just gonna type it. I'm just gonna type it. It's easier than trying to say it. There we go. Okay, you wanna explain to me, stream elements, why the chat overlay is suddenly not doing its thing? Yeah, this one. Yeah, this thing. What is going on with you? Test message? Oh, okay, the test messages work. Great. So why aren't the actual chat messages? Oh, it's annoying. Alright. It's incorrect. It is not incorrect. I hate to tell you, it is not incorrect. I mean, I'll literally... Oh, okay, I can't slide that. I will literally copy and paste it. But, like, that is... You know what? You know what? Here, just look at this. Look at this. Look at this. There, look at that. Right down there. Right down there. I gave that to someone else who asked for my Discord, and they were able to send it. That right down there. Okay. I'm glad this chat thing is... great. I didn't... Okay, sure, sure. What is this? Oh, it's my background. Cool. Properties. Okay. Save. Copy. Haste. Okay. Okay, that should do that. Settings. The test messages work, so why are these not? I don't know. I will just have to add this to my list of things to look at. Got a list of things for stream. I'll just slap this on there. Put on my super list. Stream chat overlay. Not showing chat messages. There we go. Something to look at later, because I am streaming right now. Okay. Yeah, sure. Give me a second. You. Let's see here. You. Sure. Okay. Why are you not? That's annoying, but okay, sure. Right, good there, good here. I'm good everywhere else. I don't know why those chat messages are not showing up, but I don't know, whatever. I'll look at it later. Boop. Put that back on. Because I shrank it? Shouldn't have to be it, right? You wouldn't think. You would not think. Ooh, there we go. I saw that. Oh, I don't. Let me just. Okay, there we go. Okay, cool. Anyways, back to business. Back to the show. Whatever you want to call this. I'll take. Underrated. Very underrated item. Is it best to take on Seeker? Probably not. But, you know what? I'm not gonna worry about it. Alrighty. Oop. Don't put anything in there. No, well, nah, I should keep the crowbar. It's good for Seeker's secondary. And special, I guess, which I should be using more often to stack up her, Force Palm. I call it Force Palm Pokemon, but you know, whatever it's called. Psychic Palm, some shit. This thing, whatever you call this, I don't know. Need to get more stacks with it. Oh man, that's really bugging the hell out of me. Yeah, you can. When I'm done with the stream. I don't want to interrupt the stream more than I have to, and I've already done so trying to figure out what the hell's going on with my overlay when it was just working yesterday. Oh my god. Okay. Not spend too much time here. Yeah, well. Yeah, here we go. Oops, stand. Oh, good, you're here too. Hi, dude. Oh, there's some tranquility stacks. Holy shit, 4 in 1? Hell yeah, give me that. You, take this. Take this while I deal with your friend here. Oh, ow. Oh, I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. Oh my god. Shit. Oh well. Yes. Cool. Never said I was good. Never said I was good. I'm just gonna mulligan on that. You know what? We'll use. Now, see. Okay, good. Discord is muted on the stream, so y'all can't hear those pings. Good. Be super annoyed if you could. Ooh, Ooh, there's that too. Okay. What you got for me? Why are you hearing the pings? Discord is literally muted. Why am I getting so many pings as well? Holy shit. You really sending that many? Alright, well, I'll just mute those for 8 hours. Oh, your message went through the chat box, but not Catherine VT's. Interesting. Oh, oh my god. Let's come through this. Oh, I know why, I know why, I know why, I know why, I know why. Since it's just me in the call. With it just being me in the call, I didn't... Oh my god, okay, I know why. I know why. With it just me in the call, I didn't change my volume mixer to have Discord go through my earbuds. Well, that shouldn't normally be the case because... Why do I have two? Oh, why do I have two? Okay. Oh, well, the sound has been muted, so... I do know what the issue is. I do know what the issue is. I know this time. Oh, stop it. I'll come back for you later. I had health. I'm coming for... Not you, actually. How about the ceiling? So I'm just gonna chill down here. Wasn't gonna slap you, though, wherever you went. I need to be using my palm more. I don't hear the game if that's something you wanted to know. That is something I wanted to know. Thank you. It's always something I want to know. It's so much easier if OBS just let me mute sounds in individual tabs and not make them all linked. That'd be so much easier. That way there's so many people watching for so long with no sound. I'm glad someone decides it. I will look at it while I'm done with stream. Thank you, though. That's not what I wanted to do. I go way over here. Let's chill near this wall for a little bit. Give you a good slap. I probably shouldn't try and get that at this rate. Is that? The palm doesn't go out this far. Oh well. I got one of them. There's the porter. Good, good. Are you staying there? Yeah, bastards. Okay. What? I haven't gotten shit because I sped around this map just trying to stay alive. Let's get that. What? Okay. What you got? What you got on you? Nothing I care about too much. Take that, but... Can't remember that thing actually. I keep forgetting that thing. The fist up, whatever that's called. Oh, oh, Jesus Christ. What's it called? Unseen hand. I forget that thing stuns. I always forget. I need to remember to do that. Yo. Look at that though. Got 4 of those, and the run I ended in 1 force palm. That was great. Oh. Yeah, only your messages were coming through. What the hell? I mean, that's fine, I guess. It's just something on her end, I guess. I don't know. Their end, her there. Ooh, something I would take if I had a little more speed. Like a lot more, actually. Like, I don't know, 6 of these. I wonder... I do have an idea. If I gotta go in to change the game every time I play a new game, I wonder if it'd just be easier to do the individual audio capture. Because then if I'm in there changing the game, then I'd see the audio and just change that too. Maybe that's more complicated, I don't know. It would be nice if every game just had... Right, because like I don't think this one has an option to... Oh, this one does. Okay, this one does, but not all games do. Oh, John, you got in my way. Yo. Oh, got it, okay. Let's get this. I'll take that. Just 1 ATG and no ICBMs. I will take a shrimp. Because then I have 2 shrimp. This coin's not quite ideal though. It's not bad. I don't know why people think this item is like such a game changer, like a game ender. Warped Echo? I don't know why. It must have been changed before I started playing the DLC, because this item's not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. I don't quite understand the hate it gets. Oh my god, I'm not quite with the community like I once. I was over the community when I first started playing this game, and through Survivors of the Void. I kind of fell out of a lot of communities just because, you know, gaming communities in general are usually not good, so. Kind of stopped caring about a lot of them as a whole, and this was. Most people just say the same shit over and over. It's like, guys, please. Try and do a little bit of looking before you ask something. Please, just a little. Okay, well, I'm just gonna get out of here. I'm not gonna try my luck with the gold shrine thing, whatever it's called. Focus. if what do you call it? If a crewmate pops out of one of these teleporters, I'm gonna be pissed. You know, you randomly hopped in the voice call thing once. You can do it again, you know, if you so desire. I don't know if you're not wanting to just because you don't want to. Maybe you're gonna be heading off soon, but I'm in bed right now. Fair. Well, it was an early day, so how'd that go? Good. And I'm assuming you have another early one tomorrow? That's so weird. Your messages are coming in through the chat overlay, but hers were not. What shit was a phantom? A ghost or something? A ghost in the machine? I guess that'd be kind of fitting for Cyberpunk. Wasn't so bad, though I felt bad for Norma, so I did what I could to help her. She seemed fine in the end. She was smiling by the end. That's good. Hopefully things are well in the end. On her end. Hydration time. Okay. Yo. Yeah, my workday wasn't bad. Right, Monday? Today's Monday? Yeah. It wasn't bad. Organized, or I was tasked to organize our dry storage a little bit. That was a unique thing for today, so that was nice. I didn't get nearly as much done as I could have, or yeah, as I could have, but I mean, there's only 2 of us dishwashers, so what can you do? I'm gonna put these pennies away. I like pennies. Hmm. Oh no, they're the dishwasher and I talked to some Baldur's Gate, General Dungeons and Dragons, Pathfinder, not Pathfinder, Star, crap, what's it called? Oh, I know the name of it. It's basically, you know, sci-fi D&D. It's like a mix of like D&D fantasy elements, but sci-fi. There's still like all the races, but like the classes instead of like, oh, what was it? Like instead of cleric for the healer, what do you say it was? Biomed, bio heal, bio something. Basically healing, but tech healing. I don't know. It's stuff like that. It's cool. It sounds cool, I should say. He talked a lot about that. He's running he's GMing that Star whatever D&D game it is. D&D sci-fi game. Why can't I think of the name of it? I know what it's called. But he's DMing that, so he was telling me some of the stuff he's had done in his campaign, what he plans to do. I always feel bad when he tells me about that stuff, because like I like hearing about it, but I don't really know. I don't know the workings of. I don't really know the inner workings of D&D 5e, which is the D&D he plays. Nor do I know anything about the Star game, because I definitely don't play that. So he's saying all this stuff. I try and talk, or I try and say what I can, but I always feel bad because I don't end up contributing too much because I just don't have much knowledge to go off of. It's pretty cool though. It sounds pretty cool. I know I keep saying it's cool. It sounds cool. That is there. What was it? Me, him, and 2 other co-workers on Wednesdays. I don't know how long you've been here, so I'm just gonna say this anyways. On Wednesdays, we're originally planning on playing Baldur's Gate. That's the main reason why I took Wednesdays off of streaming, because we started playing Baldur's Gate 3. We got 2 sessions in, and then one of them just kind of has always been busy. And now I don't think they're working with us anymore. I think they got a job somewhere else. So me and him were talking about maybe trying to get a thing going for Wednesdays, or just a Baldur's Gate campaign going with us too, and 2 NPCs for someday. I don't know if it'd be Wednesday, but someday. So if it's a different day though, I will just take that day off of streaming instead. That is the only reason I took Wednesdays off. Actually, Wednesdays is my early day in, so that may be another reason to take it off if it wasn't for that, but... Ooh, oh, never mind. That's not okay. It's not what I was hoping for. Is it Starfinder? Is it Starfinder? I think it's called Starfinder. I think that's what it's called. What's the next game we play in bowling? I don't know. What do you want to play? Well, here, I can open up my list. I still got that list. Yeah, I can tell you what's on there at least. Streams. There we go. Up to you, streamer. Hey, you're starting to stream too. Oh, I still have Killing Floor 2 on here. I'm just gonna delete that. That definitely did not work out. So... so what I have not checked off on here, I have Chained Together, Elden Ring, Granny Escaped Together, Raft, because he got stuck that one time, so I didn't check it off. Yeah, Halo games on here. I have to see which ones we haven't done yet. I have them all on here just in case, but, you know. Oh, I do have Infinite on here. I think you mentioned wanting to play Infinite at some point. Minecraft. I have Strange Brigade on here. I still have Slundy Tubbies on here. Oh, shit. I think most, if not all, those. Well, I mean, my next day off, I'll be upgrading my PC, so... I don't know, I'm kind of interested in Elden Ring. I don't have it installed, but, like... seeing all this hype around whatever this new Elden Ring expansion is. Night something, Terror something, Dark something, I don't know, whatever it's called. It keeps popping up on my Steam homepage. That's the only reason why. Oh, it's not. You're right. God damn it. This is why I'm not a streamer? Got them sick dramatic beats though. I appreciate it. Nobody else seems to. You and Suriken. And that one person that mentioned the echoing. I had a group of like 4 people come in at one point. That was before you mentioned the game audio not being on. Like, I don't know, my doc said they were in here for a minute. Why the fuck did nobody say anything? It's like they want me to fail. They probably do. Do I get a kiss now? Now? I don't know how I don't know how I'd send it over. I don't have shit for charge. I do. If I survive to do it. Probably won't. But anyways, how's Elden Ring sound? I can't say when exactly. Because like I said, if I do get the thing upgraded on Friday, I want to do a 7-day stress test. Since it's what I played before, you know, science, same variables, all that shit. Science doing science things. So I can at least download it. Actually, how big is Elden Ring? Baldur's Gate alone is like 144 gigabytes, so I may have to do some cleanup. That's the next thing I should upgrade on this thing, the SSD. It's only a 1 terabyte thing. I'm down to playing whatever, whenever you want. You're the one. I mean, fair, but like you can still say, hey, you want to play this? I have a schedule, but like I decided on Risk of Rain 2 here 20 minutes before I start. Because all day today I was thinking, you know what, I'll go ahead and play some Baldur's Gate 1. And then I was like, oh, well... Oh, okay. I was like, ooh, well... I don't think the game is that intensive. I mean, it is, obviously. It's a new game. But, like, I don't think it's as intensive as I think it is, but still, it's probably more intensive than my computer could possibly handle streaming. So I was like, ooh, maybe that's something I'll wait until after I get the... So then I was like, well, Risk of Rain 2 is a good one to go to. And my thought process is like if I'm trying to build a following on this channel, yes, I'm gonna be a variety game streamer. But like, there should still be something. I would still like there to be some game that I'm known to play at least frequently. Ooh. I'll come back to that. I was like, oh, why not Risk of Rain 2? But before I did that, I was like, well, Cassette Beasts, right? Because they got like built-in randomizers. It's not like modded or anything, it's just built-in randomizers and shit. So like, well, maybe that too. Like, from 7:30 to 7:40, I was debating, Cassette Beasts, Risk of Rain 2. You know, so I don't plan these things out too far ahead, and even if I do, it could still change last minute. There's a reason why I just have the times on the schedule and not the actual game on the schedule. Literally anything and everything is subject to change at a moment's notice. It could be seconds before. Now, assuming I get some kind of audience and I find out what they like, then I can plan more accordingly. But while I'm still here flailing about trying to find something, I don't know, it's just kind of whatever. Probably not worth it. Let's go this way. Ooh. Okay. Well, this is fine. This is fine. How many are left? Ooh, how many? Yo. Oh, I got 2. Beans. I did not eat any green beans today. Nor did I encounter any beans, which is... If I did, you would have gotten another lovely video. I thought I had one of... I think I'm thinking of the last one. I think. Build it up. Should probably be getting more healing, but... Oh, I should have been grabbing that before getting those. Oh, damn it. Oh, I don't have any equipment. You know what? Fine. Top 10 anime betrayals. It was a great betrayal, though. You gotta admit it. Like, how many times does someone send you, like, a 3-second video of someone dumping beans into a compost bin? How often does that happen to you? You can't say it's not. Ooh. You can't say it's not, like, a glorious thing to see. Besides, even if I liked beans, I wouldn't have had a choice. They were getting tossed regardless, so I was like, you know what? I'll send them something. Okay. I'm gonna take... and hope I can make use of it later. If I had $1 for every time that happened, I'd have $4. What? For real? Ooh. Ooh. Oh my god, really? Gonna give me Goobo like that. I don't need fuel cells though, so that'd be but Seeker. Goobo Seeker. Damn. Ooh, okay. Oh, Goobo. Damn it. But Mom's credit card. Okay. Are there any other... Oh, there's one down there. Okay. Do I have money? I got money. Wasn't even paying attention. Oh. There's a little... That's... Damn it. I am go... No. Yes. No. Yes. Okay. I just wanted to check in to see how you were doing. I'm head to bed now for work. Good night and have a good rest of stream. Thank you. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for telling me I'm fucking up. Ugh, shit. I know. I'm talking about the sounds. I'm not saying you literally told me I'm fucking up, but have a good sleep. Get some good rest, because goddamn. I imagine tomorrow's gonna be another great day. Okay, oh, well, okay, no, not worth. I'm glad that doesn't actually ram myself into a wall with Seeker's form here. Because I imagine it would. I could give Goobo to the equipment drone. And then the equipment drone just spawns Goobos, but if it dies, then no more Goob. I'm all for meat shields. What are they called? Not meat shields. Cannon fodder, but okay, I'm gonna. Goobo, I'm coming. Could think out of time what tomorrow's stream could be. Could also try and pseudo stress test. Oh, I just thought of an idea. Oh, but that would require a lot of logging in back and forth. Oh, that'd be annoying. I was thinking, well, I could just stream to YouTube, right? For test streams, as like, see if Baldur's Gate would work. I'd have to log in through OBS, and that'll shut off some of my docs. I have to rearrange them. It's just annoying. Just something I don't want to deal with. I don't have to do it again to log back into Twitch. What the fuck? Yeah, that may not be worth it. I don't know. Why don't you just say tomorrow's stream is a stress test? I'm not in the field. I should be doing that. 24 minutes, 20% through the teleporter. That's not too bad. I've been quicker, but I've also been longer, so. Never been one to be able to fully, or no. I've never been one to be able to do like the 5 minute. Back when I first started playing, I tried because I was like, tips and tricks, Google. And a lot of people on Reddit were saying, oh, 5 minute rule. And I was like, I don't like that because I'm missing out on items, but you know what? Sure, why not? I tried it. I was so much worse than I was at the time doing that. I never went back to that strategy. Correction, I think Commando. Yeah, Commando has a challenge to unlock his slide. His second utility. I think he has to beat a stage in under 5 minutes. Either beat the stage or complete the teleporter event in under 5 minutes. Either way, you have to do it once if you want to slide, which is definitely worth it. It's also not that hard. But like, yeah, other than that challenge, I never went back to trying that. It just doesn't work for me. I full loot as much as I can or bust. Wow, I missed a lot. Dang. Oh, sounds call. Oh, hi. I'm playing on Monsoon, right? Oh, that's Eclipse, yeah. Eclipse is Monsoon by default. I completely forgot I was playing Eclipse. Just not really registering the fact that I'm starting these stages with that. Boink. I regret giving mom's credit card away in that moment? Maybe. Oh my god. Maybe. Definitely maybe. Fuck's sake. Ah, whatever. Google cool. Do I have any blues? No, I don't. Don't mind that voice crack. Ooh, I do play Baldur's Gate 3 modded though. Like the biggest mod I have is or like the most game-changing mod I should say is a mod. It's a mod that I guess there's two. One lets you move your character with WASD, which is great. And the other one is native camera tweaks, I think that's what it's called. Basically, it lets me move the camera all the way from a top-down view to directly behind the characters, so I can basically play it like an MMO. I'm playing through the game for the first time and I'm experiencing it this way. It's not the intended way, but I'm loving it, so that's how I'm doing it. I don't think my work friends have that mod, so I'll have to deal with not playing with them, but that's okay. Oh my god, I'm gonna have two equipment drown. Missile launcher would definitely be a more usable one. But Gubo, you don't really see Gubo too much in the Simulacra, whichever one. But you kind of don't. I at least kind of don't see it in the main game mode here. I just don't really see it. So it's like when I find it, I want to keep it. You know, if I'm gonna lose it, it's gonna be me that's losing it, not a fucking drone that crashes. Okay, you know what? Let's do it. Oh, okay. Using on my way out. Or up, I guess. God, the stability is so good. Healing Tornado plus just how fast it is. Yeah, it's a little tricky to control, but it's not even that hard. It's really not. Not bad at all, not bad at all. I think it's just a chance thing, but if you kill one of these, you have a chance to like repair it and make it yours. It's dope, honestly. Blink. Ooh. Can I do Death Mike? You know what? Let's not rely on it. I kind of don't want to summon the Alloy Warship unit. I mean, I do, but I just don't think I don't have enough DPS to take it down quick. I just don't want to waste time doing that, so... A lot of the time, actually, I skip it for that reason. If I have good bleed or maybe good burn, I'll go for it, because if I can apply bleed at a moderate rate, at the very least, yeah, I'll do it. But with constant application, it'll go down pretty quick. Don't really have that here. I have one tri-tip. One tri-tip, no Noxious Thorns. And it can't even be killed. I don't think it can be killed with Lost Seer's Lens, because it's like a boss. Like the boss bar appears on top and all that. So it's classified as a boss. So I can't even like Lost Seer it. Dope. Yeah, you know what? For that reason, I will take the Needle Tick. At this rate, it'll be doing more Bleedwood. Remember when Survivors of the Void first came out? What was it? You know, this question popped up in my mind, and as did others, because I found someone did calculations on Reddit and like had a little graph and discovered that in the long run, tri-tips do more damage than the needle. But I think that was assuming you could. What is it? You could reliably apply the bleed. In this case, where I cannot reliably apply the bleed because I only have a 10% chance, I will take Needle Tick over Tri-Tips. There's a lot of void items like that where it's like, oh, depending on this, I can do that. Or depending on this factor, I'll either corrupt my items or, you know, keep them uncorrupted. The plasma shrimp I have is if I have no ATGs or one ATG and I see a shrimp, I'll probably take the shrimp. I feel like it does more in the end. Since the shrimp damage is guaranteed. It's small, but it's guaranteed. Now if I have, and this depends as well, if I have 2 ATGs and one of the bands, I'm probably gonna keep the ATGs because those ATGs can proc bands. Now that's dependent too, because if I'm a survivor who can naturally, like Seeker, then I may still take the shrimp. But if I cannot, then I'm definitely keeping the shrimp. If I got Pocket ICBM, it's a no-brainer. No matter what, I'm not replacing the ATGs. I'm just not. ATGs with a Pocket ICBM are too damn good. Oh, there's the unit. No. Why are there 3 of those? Jesus. I guess I'm gonna try and fight it. Don't have much of a choice right now, so... Oh, Jesus. It may not be too bad. Oh my god, what's... Oh yeah, I do have... Oh my god. Oh, glug glug glug. Don't mind me. I forgot though, I do have... I forgot I had the scorpion tail. Completely forgot I had that, so it's just getting... you know, armored down to hell. I completely forgot I had that, so... Yeah, that was... You know, never mind the fact that it almost sent me to hell, but you know, not a problem. Was that the... Yeah, the item dropping one. Cool. Kinda sad to get this now and not sooner, but getting it, still getting it. Oh, don't want that. I just have stage 5 to... Oh, but it's only 1. No, never mind. I'm not gonna do that. Okay, where's the porter at? Have I found it? I have, okay. Half the time I can't remember if I found the porter or not. I'm so bad about finding the teleporter in Masquerade in general. I'm horrible at finding it in 1, but even in 2, it's still... I'm still kind of dookie at it. Don't really know why. Something I just don't pay attention to. Alright, what's... Oh, Vagrant. Oh, hi. There you are. Go get him, Goopo. Nah. You stop that. Is that a new noise? Was that the Vagrant making that noise? What the hell? Jesus. Oh, is it that? Oh, is it the bee thing? Oh, it's the bee thing. Okay, it just happened to die with the... What did I get? What did I get from... Oh, the shipping form. Okay. You two doing good down there? What's good? Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you give one of those to an equipment drone, it will still drain. So don't do that. Unless you just don't care about your money, don't do that. I remember trying it once, and I don't remember the end result, but I remember not liking it, so I'm assuming it takes your money. Oh, I didn't physically break the eggs. Oh. But... Wait. I can think of one reason why it was sent here, but... Is there music? There is. Okay, so I had this mod called Sunken Tombs, I think? You know, something akin to, what is it? Stage 2, Risk of Rain 1. Risk of Rain 1 Stage 2 map. Oh, alien head. We all want it. But, it basically took the void, the locust? Locust. Yeah, and made it more like an underwater environment. Like aesthetically, it was like all blue and stuff instead of purple. And I'm trying to listen to the music and see if this is, if I still have these to do, so it's not gonna take me to Mithrix. Right. This is a teleporter over here. Which it's not. This is weird. I wonder, wonder if that's what's happening here. Well, you know what? Good news is, as long as I can be safe for a moment. Which, I know how to guarantee my safety, but... Oh no, this is definitely not... Okay, hold on. Let's see if I can I? Oh, it's above me, isn't it? Oh, it was. Okay. Stage... Sky Meadow, go. Just take me there. Just take me there. Just take me there. Whew. Okay. That was weird. Don't know how that happened, but here we are. Oh, I don't know if the game liked me doing that, though. Jesus. Oh, okay. The game really didn't like me doing that. I'm sorry, game. You brought me to a place that I cannot get back to Mithrix. Like, I cannot get to Mithrix from the Void Locust. I don't know why you did that or how you did that, but you did. Good to see the mom's credit card drone is still going. Also, I'm just gonna tap out real quick. I gotta go take care of a chatter here. Don't mind me. Let me just, spoiled roundup. Get the fuck out of here. There we go. Cool. Done. Sorry about that. I mean, it didn't ultimately matter because the message didn't get posted, but still. Oof, oof, oof. Okay, I guess I'll take my usual route. Oh, kind of breaking that route, but I have a route I like to go through. Like a certain way I like to explore the maps. Oh my god. I mean, it kind of depends on how I spawn in this one, I guess. But typically I like to go up then down. What I mean by that is I'll go on the upper platforms, loop around, then go on the bottom platforms. And then find the teleporter. If I have not already. There's also a Void Seed. See Mr. Krabs about. Hi dude. Ain't you? Oh, oh god. Okay, good. Ow. Ish. Owish. There we go. Man, it takes forever. Oh, good, move speed. I have one Paul Goat Hoof, or I had one Paul's Goat Hoof before. Now I got Monster. Oh man, my computer is fucking chugging though from just force teleporting like that. I had no. You cannot punish me for something I cannot control. I guess you can because you are, but not cool. Oh. Well, I did want to hit the Ancient Wisp, but you'll do too, I guess. Oh my god. Okay. God damn, it's affecting the gups. Got the fuck. Oh, 5 left? Cool. Let's keep on going my route. After I kill Mr. Krabs. Ooh, you turned. That's fine though, that worked out. You want to fist a crab? Oh my god. Ah, that's not how you do it. That's not how you do it. Jesus Christ. Oh. That's absolutely fist a crab. Just don't. Especially if it's Mr. Krabs. Holy shit. Oh, okay. Here's one of my favorite songs. Well, this is my favorite song in the whole game. The rain formerly known as Purple. It's great. Actually, cannot get enough of it. If it comes on my playlist, oh yeah, it's a good time. If you go to Sky Meadow, it's a good time. So good that even back when I used... Even when I used to use modded songs, I would not mod this stage or song. I would not, because this song is too damn good. Okay, that's something, I guess. I don't know if I want to give that to an equipment drone, but sure. One move speed, yo. Beneath this, I'm gonna evade Mithrix. I mean, Seeker has her fly, but it's not the best evasion. Oh, jeez. Okay. That probably would have killed me if I hadn't done that. One more? Where's it at? Oh. Is it a Bonner? Oh, it's all the way up here. What the? Oh, it's a Colossus. Oh, good. A Colossus and it's corrupted. You want to get erased? That Titan. Oh, no. Oh, no. Oh, no. I mean, I had the benefit of him being stuck in there, I guess, but still. Alright, what'd you drop? Yo, syringe. Yo, rejuvenation or act for a healer? Great. Can I get my... Yeah, that. Because the bear doesn't absorb it, and I can at least absorb some damage. Ooh, fuel cell. Well, I don't think I'm getting a fuel cell at this rate, right? 2 force palms could be cool. I don't know, though. Ooh. Polyloot is something I take no questions asked. If I see it, it's mine. My favorite void item. Absolute favorite, absolute goated item. If you don't like Polyloot, what are you doing? There's way better AoE options than the ukulele. Way better. Yes, polyloot a single target. I don't care. It's too good to pass up. My favorite item used to be the shrimp, the plasma shrimp. Until I discovered the true power of the polyloot, and I was like, oh my god. Oh my god, this thing is great. It's an instrument too. It's a corrupted ukulele. Sounds alike. Oh. No. Come on. There we go. Thanks, I guess, for the pennies. Should have spat out rupees instead, but... Okay. Speed this up a little bit. Just a little. None of these bad item things are modded, by the way. This has been a thing since the Secrets of the Storm teaser update. What was it called? The Devotion update. That's what it was called. This is just from the Devotion update, and they never changed it back. Unsurprisingly, it is Gearbox. But, you know, still funny. Yo, Mad Hops. Here we go. Did I find? Oh, I did. Oh, yo. I can get a drone that summons drone. Oh, it's close by too. Good. Yo. Okay. Go call the drone army. You are the commander. Summon them. Oh man, this is chugging though. This is chugging. Goddamn. Ow. Okay, well, that was the second loop. Basically, just on the floor. I probably missed some stuff, but I think I'm doing alright. I think I'm doing alright. Was there anything up here? Okay. Probably not worth giving to the drone with other options, but... Preon's still not bad. Not bad. If you're okay with like what is it, like a 150 cooldown? 250 cooldown? It's a long cooldown. Longest cooldown in the game, I think. I think. The next biggest cooldown I can think of is Goobo, but it's only 100. I know that. Oh, good. Oh, good. With my computer chugging this much too? Good, 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 good. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. This is what I wanted. Go fuck him up. I guess. Go do something. I don't know what you're gonna do, but go do something. I can barely tell what's going on. Jesus Christ. Oh my... One of the few enemies to truly still scare me in this game, if I'm being real. Overloading worm. There's a reason it's an achievement for Commando. It is tough. When the directors call it in, you know they mean business. Hey, welcome back, Catherine. VT. Welcome, welcome. Oh my god, I can't even, oh my god, I can't even, where is it? My computer's chugging too hard, I just can't. Let me ping it. Okay, good, there we go. Let's see where it's going now. Oh good, a Malachite's coming out. Great, love it. Oh my god, okay, well you gotta go. You gotta go first. You are a menace to me! Oh my god, how? Just how? Oh my god, how? No, that wasn't the worm, but goddamn. But I mean, the swim's dangerous. Oh my god, how the fuck? Oh no, oh no, oh no. Did I get hit by the... I did, okay. Get back, get back, get back. Get the heals, get the heals, get the heals. Dodge if you can, but get the heals. Oh my god, it's coming for me. It's coming for me. Oh my god. The Magron Worm is the Eater of Worlds from Terraria. The Overloading Worm is the Destroyer. Including the Lightning Ashita. That's basically the Destroyer's little probes. Laser probes. At least the lasers, but, you know. Okay. Oh, Gooba's back. Good. Gooba, go somewhere. I don't know where you landed, but go get him. Oh, there it is. Jeez. Oh my god. Oh, I got it. I didn't even drop its thing. What the fuck? Asshole. Whew. Okay, let's survive. Holy shit, survive this. Oh, chopping. Okay. Oh, okay. You need to just go. I don't need any other distractions. I don't care what elite type you are. Get out of here. Oh good, I'm not going back in there. I teleported out of there because the game put me in there. I literally cannot beat this game mode if I go in there. Oh, wow. Anybody watched all that? How the hell did you manage to watch that? Because goddamn. Oh, it's still chuggy here. I mean, that's fine. Okay. I can probably just fly to Mythics. I don't even need to worry about doing the pillars. I think I can. I think Seeker's fast enough. I'm pretty sure Seeker can reach Mythics without doing pillars. See you in a second, but if I can skip him, I will. And what? DPS tests? Never mind. I mean, I won't complain. I don't like those. Those Lunar Wisps, I know they're called Lunar Chimeras, but... actual embodiment of hell. Ah, look at that damage. Look at that damage. Yeah, all the way up there. Pretty sure I can just fly up there. I just want to get... I want to get up on one of those pillars. Like one of those. I know I can get on those. I've gotten on those before. Easy. Jeez, oh jeez. You know what? I'm just gonna... There we go. We'll chill up here for the cooldown. Let the drones distract those out. Yo. Oh, okay. With the Hapu Feather you can. With the Hapu Feather you can't get up here. Hell yeah. Okay. Had to make a second hop. Ooh. Okay. Cool. The only question now is... can I get... If you had good move speed, you could probably also just do it. Oh, I did this wrong. Well, not wrong. This is fine. This is fine. Just break my phone. This is fine. If you had more speed, you'd be able to get up here easier probably, but yeah, look at that. Mythic skip. Or pillar skip. You cannot skip Mythics. You have to fight him. Well, he loads in. Hydration time. Yo, Moonboy, what up? If I can hit him. I'd rather not. Who? What? Okay, that's someone else. Who sent me that? You. I'm muting you as well. There we go. There we go. It shouldn't be her. Well, no, it will be her because I didn't actually fix it. I just muted. Ah, okay. What am I doing? I'm fighting Mythics. I'm trying to want to send out Gubo for him because he jumps up every so often. It's either like roughly every 1/4 health, if you don't damage them quick enough, or just after a set time. I think it's a set time. I don't know what the time is though. Just after a minute. I think he swung his hammer into that. That's your fault, dude, not mine. Ooh, ah. Oh, okay. That's my fault. That's my fault. My bad, slime. My bad. Just gonna. Oh. Lay. Oh yeah, I can heal my drones with that too. The Force Palm heals allies you hit with it. I remember it does that in multiplayer when I'm playing with Rob, but I don't think about it when I'm just playing by myself. I should probably remember that. Yeah. Come at me. Dope. Phase 1, not too much a problem. It says I get slapped, but not a problem. Oh, it didn't reach. Okay. Unfortunately, since these things are considered a boss, the Lost Seers lens will not insta-kill these dudes. There's no chance for that because they're a boss. If the red health bar at the if an enemy's red health bar is at the top of the screen under the items, that means they're a boss. Even if they're just normal enemies, they are considered a boss to the game's code. Therefore, stuff like Lost Seers won't proc because you can't insta-kill a boss, a normal boss. Now, if you keep looping, like teleported bosses will just eventually start spawning as normal enemies, and Lost Seers. But if their health bar is at the top, with their name, as seen here, with the Lunar Chimera Wisp, Golem, etc., then they are considered a boss. Kinda unfortunate, really, but oh well. Die. I can probably use Goobo when Mythic starts making pizza. Oh, you're slow. You are literally slow. The Chrono Bauble guarantees the slow status ailment. You are actually slow. You cannot dispute this. Oh, there's pizza. There's pizza. And there's my failure. God damn. That's why I want to avoid pizza, because that can happen. So close. Oh well. What time is it? I got time for another, I think. We'll not do Seeker this time. Roughly time for another. Hopefully I'll get my frames back. Belmont. We'll do Belmont. Not that one though. I don't remember what all these look like. These skins are a little glitchy on the screen. They work fine in game, just on the screen. So I don't remember. XLEX, I guess. I don't remember what that is. Is this the one with the... No, it's not. That's fine though, I guess. Hi. Oh, not. Thanks. The only unfortunate thing about this game is you could be going zooming. You could be having the zoomies. In your previous run, when you start over, you start completely over, so... If anything, the loss of speed is quite unfortunate. I mean, it makes sense, but, you know. Actually, do I care about my M2 that much? What's that? It's alright, I guess. Tight. This is a modded character for those that don't know. Belmont is not. There has not been an official Risk of Rain Castlevania crossover. As cool as that could be. I don't have a lot of history with Castlevania actually. I played some of the older games, like NES games. I played 1, 3, Super Castlevania. What was it, 4? Rondo of Blood, and Symphony of the Night. I played the fuck out of Symphony. Like after that, didn't really touch the series. There was a 3DS Castlevania game, Lords of Shadow. I don't remember what the subtitle was called. I played that. It was okay from what I remember, but I don't remember liking it too much. I did beat it though. I did beat it. Get my money's worth. That. Yeah, my Castlevania experience isn't really all that. It's mainly just Symphony of the Night, like I'm sure a lot of people's is. It did help what was it? It's because of that we got the subgenre Metroidvania. I almost said Metroidvania. Which, Metroid's cool. I wish there was a little more reason to kill enemies. I mean, sure, some games, they can give you, like, health and, like, missile pickups, but, like, I don't know. I like for there to be a reason for me to beat the enemies. I don't want to have to feel like I can run past them, and nothing would change if I... In RPGs, I kill everything I can. Get that experience. Even if it's minimal. That's experience, money, potential item drops. It's a good reason to. In this game, you get money, experience, what? Moon coins, lunar coins. That's what they're called, lunar coins. I mean, at the end, you don't really do it for the experience because you get piss experience as you go, but definitely do it for the money. Yo, okay. Everything is going as it should be, right? Oh, is that just my computer fan is picking up? I think so. Okay, never mind. Back to business. Ah, no money. Hi. No. You wanna give me your money? Yeah, money. It's just money. Dollars, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. It's a dollar sign, but like, I guess that means it's American money. Yeah, so dollars. That's called money or gold. Yeah, a lot of items on the stage, I just realized. I mean, I'm not complaining. I'll take items over Jones. There's still one more I gotta get, actually, so let's just go get it. Boink. Have I found the teleporter? Yes, I have. Okay. Always gonna forget that. If I don't say it out loud, just assume that I've forgotten. Oh my god. Chill. God, that special was so good. I don't know why its cooldown is only like 8 seconds. It seems too short for how good it is. Not complaining, just wondering. Okay, I'm still missing one of them. Is it you? Yes. I remember this blue giant demon thing being in Castlevania though. What is this creature of the night? What's it supposed to represent? Is it a boss in one of the games I just don't remember? Or one of the bosses from one of the games I just didn't play? Probably. Alright. Let's work on getting out of here. Let's hope. Little queen. Hi ma'am, how you doing? How's the family? How's the husband? How's the swarm? I guess swarm would have been the most accurate thing to say. Yo. Alright. I actually started this thing before the 7-minute mark instead of starting it at the 7-minute mark. Cool. Slightly faster. I mean, the monster probably helps, but faster's faster, I'll take it. Cooling over next 3 days? Oh, really? We'll see about that. We'll see about that. I don't trust it. No trust. Ow. Hi. I see the laser, I just didn't do anything about it. I can tank it. Not too many more. No, but I can take one. Don't kill my turret. Hi. This is looking first person. Oh, okay. Oh, I missed a healing drone. Oh, I didn't do all the chant shrines items. Oh well. I got 1 out of 2. I'll take it. I like how it's 0.5 out of 1 instead of 1 out of 2 for the chant shrines. It's funny. Yeah, whatever works, yeah. Ooh. Hi. What's the occasion, boys? Oh, is it me? I'd rather you not. I'd rather it not be me. Cool. Let's get a little money. God, that's such a cool mod too. Mod that like automatically picks up lunar coins that they drop. Indicated by like the coin falling out the enemy. Instead of it just popping up for you to interact with. It's great, I love it. Now, the crowbar I don't think he'll get much use out of. I don't think. One of my least favorite. Musically, I should say. Aesthetically, I mean, it's okay. Map, it's okay. Oh, I don't really have any complaints about the aesthetic. Or the layout, it's just the music. I don't like the music. And even then, it's just the second half. This part is fine. This one it picks up is what I don't like. I just don't like it. Can't do it. I don't want to do it. I'll try that later. Teleport is over there. Oh yeah, I've got a whip. Like that. Kind of do a double loop around this map as well. Kind of. I loop around the floor and then I kinda loop around again, but just hopping on those. Those like mounds, whatever you want to call them. Not really a second loop, but it also kinda is. I'll also take AoE. Can I get that now? Yes, I can. Hey, leave my drone alone. I'm assuming it's here slapping. Stop it as well. Oh. Yep. Just slide and punch it. It's more utility than damage, but it still works for damage. It's kind of funny. That is definitely a rectum move right there. Sliding like a kick uppercut. Something you can do in Rondo of Blood. No, it's not Rondo of Blood. It's Symphony of the Night. When you're taking Richter to Castlevania's tower, to Dracula's. Like, the very first thing you do in the game, mind you. That's not a spoiler. It's literally how the game starts. Ooh. Okay. That's tough. Monster or Soldier Syringe. Hey, fastest hack speed's good. You're gonna whip it real good like Belmont does. You need that speed. Now, Squid Turret, not so much. I like it, but not really something I do scrap for. Not really gonna help out in later fights, so. Oh yeah, because I have the focus crystal, even dots get increased damage, which is interesting, but not complaining. Let's go ahead and do this. How's it doing now? I've got some stuff. Still kind of looking around, so. Oh, excuse me, excuse me. Get back down here. Where are you going? I'm right here. Oh, there you go. Hi. Let's see if I can play some burn on this dude. There we go. He's stumped. And I want to say I know where the chest will be in every stage 3 map. I want to say. I think I took pictures. Because I plan on making like a post or something. Like a Reddit post or something, just as a little guide for people that use this mod. I never did that, but I think I got pictures of all them. Pictures of the chest location in all the maps. It's only one fixed spot. Literally a combination of Paul's Goat Hoof and the Soldier Syringe, but half of both the effects. Okay, so we got whatever you are. And the red whip. Oh, I'm speed. They got money for remaining stuff unless the Chance Shrine takes all my shit. Which it probably will, let's be real, but that's something I'm willing to bet on. Get this first. Let's see what Chance has. Ooh. Fallen fruit, cool. No. Alright, cool. Ooh, Lepton Daisy. A lot of people sleep on the Lepton Daisy. I don't see why. It's so good. The Lemon Daisy is so good. Why sleep? There's no reason to sleep on the Lemon Daisy. It's awesome. Especially if you're doing the blood shrines and on commencement, the moon. It's so good for helping you through that. But even then, like just any of these teleport events, a quick heal never hurt anybody. It's even better in the simulacra. Every wave is a wave-based thing, so every wave you get heals. Get out of here. I still don't know what's doing that. I don't know what's actually doing that. Oh, is it supposed to be Celestine? Celestine? Maybe. Man, oh man, oh man. Man, oh lambo jamma. Let me out. Ooh, let me in here. I missed a drone. Oh well. I missed a drone and I liked it. Jesus Christ. What you got for me, dude? Nothing? Cool. Cool. Take that though. I will have to do pillars for this dude. This dude does not have the utility to fly to Mythic's arena. It would go a little bit faster, just a little bit. Yeah, we'll do one, we'll do one. I want to do two, kind of, but we'll just do one. Have any of these? No Paul. Five green. Oh man, okay. Hi, dude. Okay. You know what? I have suddenly got a wave of tiredness hit me, so I think I will just stop here. Yeah, here we go. Oh no, it came over me. Just boom, tired. Probably from work. Probably from. Okay, it is what it is. Thank you everybody for watching. I will be back tomorrow with something at 8 p.m. CST. I don't know what it will be, but I will be back tomorrow. So hopefully I'll see you there. Bye-bye.